Well, good afternoon, everyone. Ken Molestina here from the CBS News Texas Newsroom. A news conference right now with Celina Police is about to take place. We're about to check in with that. They're going to be talking about the investigation of former Celina ISD coach and teacher Caleb Elliott. It's a story that we have been following very closely. The police chief in Celina is expected to discuss what has been happening with the investigation into Elliott and the next steps. Elliott faces state charges and is under federal indictment. Now, police have just stepped up to the podium as of just a couple of seconds ago. Let's go ahead and have a listen to what all they have to say.
This is my team of detectives and also support staff. They all are members of the Celina Police Department. Good afternoon. Thank you for all being here today. I want to begin by thanking the members of the press and media for your professionalism and the patience throughout this investigation. Your role in helping keep our community and all of North Texans informed throughout this process has been invaluable. If you will forgive me today, I will be reading this statement more carefully than when I normally deliver remarks. I simply do not want to miss any details. Today, I can announce that the Celina Police Department has concluded the active phase of its criminal investigation into former Celina ISD teacher, coach Caleb Elliott. Before I walk you through the details of this investigation, I want to express my deepest and most heartfelt gratitude to the victims and their families. The courage it takes to come forward in this case like this cannot be overstated. These young people and their families have shown remarkable bravery throughout this investigation, even as they face difficult and painful circumstances. To the families who cooperated with our investigators and our law enforcement partners, and who have the strength to help pursue justice, thank you. Your transparency has not only helped bring this investigation to its conclusion, but has also helped protect other children in our community. We recognize the emotional toll this has taken on you, and we remain committed to supporting you as this case moves through the legal process. I also want to emphasize that this investigation was conducted by the Celina Police Department in collaboration with federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies. And I want to acknowledge some critical partnerships that made our work possible. From near the very beginning of this investigation, our Criminal Investigations Division worked alongside dedicated professionals to include the Federal Bureau of Investigation Child Exploitation Division, the United States Attorney's Office in Eastern District of Texas, the Law Enforcement Division of the Office of Attorney General of Texas, the Texas Department of Family Protective Services, the Collin County District Attorney's Office, the Collin County Sheriff's Office, and the Collin County Children's Advocacy Center. The expertise, resources, and unwavering commitment these agencies brought to this investigation were instrumental in achieving the outcomes we will review today. This case exemplifies what can be accomplished when law enforcement agencies at every level work together with a shared mission: protecting our children and pursuing justice. To all of our partners, thank you for standing with us and with this community. Over the past 7 weeks, the Celina Police Department, in conjunction with our law enforcement partners, interviewed dozens of witnesses, potential witnesses, victims, subpoenaed relevant documents from entities such as Celina ISD, and obtained numerous search warrants for social media, data, and digital records, all of which our detectives and our partner agencies thoroughly and meticulously reviewed. As an example, criminal investigators from the Celina Police Department and the Texas Attorney General's Office jointly interviewed numerous Celina ISD staff and administrators. Additionally, Celina Police Department investigators interviewed dozens of victims, potential victims, family members, the suspect, and alleged suspects. And together, multiple law enforcement agencies extracted information and digital data from the subject's electronic devices. I can assure you, every witness account and allegation faced the highest level of law enforcement investigative scrutiny. Let me now walk you through the findings of this investigation. As a part of our commitment to transparency, Much of this information has been released throughout the process of this investigation, but we are providing the information again as a summary of the findings of the investigation. The investigation itself began on October 3rd, 2025, when William Caleb Elliott was detained at Moore Middle School and subsequently was arrested and charged with invasive visual recording, which is a state jail felony. During the following week, as the investigation progressed, additional evidence led to another arrest and charge. On October the 9th, 2025, Mr. Elliott was charged with possession or promotion of child pornography, a felony of the second degree. During the investigation, our detectives obtained more than 10 images, but less than 50 images that meet the definition of child pornography. A total of 38 victims were identified in the digital data that was obtained from the electronic devices. On November the 7th, following additional investigation into witness accounts regarding allegations stemming from activities in the Moore Middle School locker room, Mr. Elliott was charged with sexual performance of a child, also a felony of the second degree. To my knowledge, Mr. Elliott has been in the custody of the Collin County Jail since his arrest on November the 7th. On Wednesday, November the 12th, Mr. Elliott was then indicted by a federal grand jury in the Eastern District of Texas on 7 counts of production of child pornography and on 1 count of attempted production of child pornography. A total of 8 federal counts were in that indictment. Along with these federal charges, the Celina Police Department has also referred our findings to the Collin County District Attorney's Office for prosecution and state charges. At this juncture, those are the only findings of this investigation that have led to criminal charges. I also want to take a moment to help the public understand the important distinction between our criminal investigation and the civil process. Legal teams in civil cases will have access to all our findings, and they're also able to subpoena witnesses for depositions, which are interviews given under oath in a formal legal setting. Historically, new evidence may sometimes arise during civil investigations that only emerges after witnesses are placed under oath. This is an important aspect of how our justice system works and a distinction worth noting as this process moves forward. I want to be absolutely clear. In the event that new evidence or allegations are admitted to the case during the legal process, our Criminal Investigation Division will immediately process that new information, and additional charges could be filed as a result. It is imperative to note that the criminal investigation is never truly finished in a matter such as this. This is why I stated earlier that only the active stage of the criminal investigation has been completed, based on the entirety of the information we have at this moment. We remain vigilant. We remain ready to act on any new information that comes to light. As I stated to the public on October the 27th, this investigation was committed to ensuring to our community that every lead will be pursued, and each would be handled with the most diligent attention and expert investigative police work. Today, I can tell you that we have kept that commitment. Every lead was pursued. Every piece of evidence was thoroughly examined. No stone was left unturned. As this matter now moves through the legal processes, the Celina Police Department will continue to cooperate fully with federal and state prosecutors, and we will continue to update the public as any pertinent information becomes available. As I mentioned earlier in my remarks, the Celina Police Department recognizes the impact this case has had on victims, their families, and the entire Celina community. Resources and support remain available through the Collin County Children's Advocacy Center and other victim service organizations, and through many of the generous churches in this city that have offered to assist victims and their families. Again, I wish to commend the exceptional work conducted by the Celina Criminal Investigations Division and our law enforcement partners throughout this complex and sensitive investigation. Our commitment to this community and the victims involved has been unwavering. The trust you have placed in us is not something we take lightly. Transparency and accountability are the core values of the Celina Police Department, and we will continue to operate with those principles at the forefront of everything we do. As this case now moves through the courts, let me be very clear to the residents of Celina. The safety and well-being of our children, our community, is our highest priority. When that safety is threatened, we will use every resource available to protect our community and to pursue justice for anyone who tries to harm them. Let me say it one more time. Any parent or individuals with additional information related to this case may continue to contact the Celina Police Department. Our officers will steadfastly pursue those leads in a timely manner. Due to the ongoing legal proceedings, I am limited to what additional details I can provide at this time, but I will do my best to answer your questions.
Chief, did you do any investigation on whether anyone knew about Caleb Elliott's behavior or actions and failed to report it? And if so, is that a crime?
Absolutely. We pursued every investigative lead, including those allegations we've heard in the community that people knew about this. Our investigation has led to that not being a fact at this time. Therefore, the criminal charges have been filed on the person who has been criminally held liable at this point.
Chief, can I be specific, though? Was the police department made aware of Elliott being caught placing cameras in the locker room during the 2024-25 school year? And was the police department contacted about any relationship, an intimate relationship between Elliott and a teenager/senior at Celina High School? Was that investigated? Is there any truth to this, sir? If so, why no additional charges?
Okay, I'm going to start with the first one, the installation of the cameras that was alleged. After numerous interviews conducted by our investigators and law enforcement partners, and after reviewing evidence based on records subpoenaed from Celina ISD, the criminal investigation found no evidence to substantiate any claims of cameras previously being placed in the locker room. Furthermore, investigators found no evidence of an email that allegedly circulated from the district regarding any hidden cameras. Should any parent have copies of such an email, my investigators would welcome such evidence. However, at this point in the investigation, no such evidence has been turned over to law enforcement. And then you had a second part to that question.
Was the police department contacted about any relationship between Elliott and the teenager at Celina while he was employed?
Yeah, so there has been discussions about a boyfriend-partner relationship. So I'm going to kind of summarize that for you. Our investigators and our agency partners attempted to interview the alleged romantic partner and were denied that interview by his attorney. As I stated, lawyers can subpoena witnesses and they can choose to do so. But what I can confirm is that after reviewing the forensic evidence we had available to us, law enforcement cannot substantiate any criminal activity related to that individual. Or I will assure you, if that was true, additional charges would have been filed.
Chief, have your investigators interviewed Bill Elliott, his father, and can you talk about what if so, what he did not?
So we interviewed dozens of people, as I mentioned earlier in the speech. And in regards to Bill Elliott, as a determination of Celina ISD, Coach Bill Elliott was placed on administrative leave, you know that, pending the outcome of these investigations. Any personnel matters related to Celina ISD employees, unless criminal activity is substantiated, can only be addressed by the district. So to your question is, at this point in the investigations, no evidence exists to suggest that Bill Elliott engaged in criminal activity. We have. Yes.
Does he give any sort of indication that he knew about the relationship with this alleged student who is not cooperating, I guess, with your investigation?
Yeah.
Do you have any knowledge of that relationship?
So if that were the case, if that were true, that he did know that, that would be a criminal allegation. We would have filed a case on him. Okay.
So does it get it correct? So
Yeah.
your investigation says there's no evidence of the cameras being used in locker rooms. Was it the first time the department was made aware of what was October 1st, October 3rd? But the first time you're made aware of his alleged actions?
Yes. So as far as installing the cameras again, We've conducted a number of investigations to determine that that wasn't true, and if so, then we would have filed an additional charge. And as far as the timeline, the allegations that sustain the arrest and the criminal case has been filed on Caleb Elliott are going to be centered on the spring of 2025 and the fall of 2025. Those are the time periods that we have condensed any criminal allegations to in a time frame.
Chief, we want to make sure
Yeah.
that we're understanding this concern. Was your police department involved, called, contacted, anything in these previous allegations? The locker
No.
room incident?
Absolutely not. No. So, yeah, so thank you for reframing that question. Specifically, the first day we learned of any criminal allegation, any wrongdoing was on October 3rd, the morning of that morning when two witnesses walked into our lobby. Subsequently, they were taken for forensic interviews. That same day, within 6 hours, William K. Elliott was in our custody.
Let me ask you, Chief, then, from the 2024-25 situation where there may have been cameras in the locker room, whether someone reported that and there was an email or whatever to school, somebody reported to school, is that something that your police department should have been notified by, and by whom?
If that were indeed true, they have a responsibility to report. They have a duty to report. Nonetheless, our investigation has found that this is not to be true, that there was anyone in the school system knew about any criminal activity at all. Again, they were made aware of the criminal activity based on our investigation on the morning of October 3rd when we notified them that one of their employees was being arrested.
Chief, this case has caused a lot of mistrust among the school district and city leadership. Is that why you felt the need to speak out today?
Really, the focus of this is to let the public know where we have arrived in this investigation. I think it's important that people see that, hey, we've come to this point. We've exhausted every lead possible at our disposal. And at that point, I think the public needs to know what's going on. As far as the scrutiny the school districts received, that's for them to answer. I don't control their administrative investigations. I don't control their messaging. However, we let them focus on their administrative civil aspect. Our commitment is to the criminal investigation alone.
For the charge of sexual performance of a child, I don't believe that the leader of this committee would know that was myself in the first office. The attorneys for some of these clients believe that is from Caleb allegedly forcing a child to do naked jumping jacks in the locker room to get this book back.
Yeah.
Can you say specifically what that charge is for and if that's true?
So that would be getting into the very specifics of the investigation, which I'm going to decline to do right now. However, there was an episode on that particular date which led to the additional charge being filed, and it is in the hands of the Collin County District Attorney's Office.
Can you talk about the evidence that you, the team, has collected? Is there any sort of evidence outside of the locker room? Is anything on a broader scope that you have found out about it?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. So we would certainly review all those aspects, make sure we're not leaving anything unnoticed. But our criminal investigation found that based on the evidence we examined, there is no reason to believe the subject engaged in unlawful behavior with these victims outside the locker rooms of Moore Middle School. Again, we're going to isolate this incident. All the criminal allegations are related to taking photographs with the phone in the locker room on the spring of 2025 and the fall of 2025.
Chief,
Okay.
38 total alleged victims in this. All more middle school, you said. Can I ask, this was football players. Is it also correct that some basketball players may have been victimized?
Yeah, so this is a middle school locker room, and some of these boys play 2 or 3 sports. And so if I was to answer that question specifically, I would be going way off board. What I know is they are student athletes, and they were present in those locker rooms in the spring and the fall.
When you said that y'all talked to alleged suspects, who do you mean by that? Who else?
Yeah, in the course of any criminal investigation, you're going to interview a number of people because sometimes people are named as a possible suspect, but getting into the details of that investigation again would not be appropriate this time.
I do just want to get some clarity on this. I know we've talked about it before with your question about the cameras not being placed in the locker room a year prior. You didn't have any evidence of that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, are we off of our wording and maybe this to the attorneys, I think he didn't get to the level where cameras were actually installed.
Mhm.
He had cameras in the locker room when someone with administration was like, hey, what are you doing? And I don't know if that would even substantiate a crime. I don't know if anything rose to that level, but was there any incident whatsoever of him just with a camera in the locker room prior to this?
So our criminal investigation, along with our partners, has not revealed anything of substance related to that question. Again, our investigation and what was derived from the cell phone, that's where the digital images were stored. And there's no substantiation of a claim that there's any cameras in any other locker rooms or an attempt to place those in the locker room. Certainly we're aware of the civil litigation, and we're always going to explore those kind of allegations, but we have found nothing of substance.
We understand that you came in after the fact to get out to any potential allegations related to this situation previously, right? So I understand that you're coming in afterward and backtracking.
Yes.
In your investigation, though, in the backtracking, did you guys confirm that he was banned from the locker room at some point?
So that's going to be something that the Celina Independent School District would have to answer on an administrative level. What I will say that we found no correlation between any criminal activity and changes in his assignments. I think that should answer your question. Does it?
In your release, you conclude this part of the investigation, but is there any indication that there could indeed be more victims than the 38 that we're talking about? You mentioned long people come forward, but is there any indication that could be more?
Yeah, at this time, there's no indication. However, this is always ongoing because finding justice for any victim, if they're not speaking up, that's a difficult thing for a child to do in a family, and there could be a delayed response. And so we're always open to that. Our door is open. We will answer that call, and we will investigate thoroughly, criminally, with our partners if those allegations are true. Yeah, so that, again, would be a Celina ISD question. We stay out of their business, and they'll make that decision.
Several other school district employees have been placed on this. Are there criminal investigations into teachers?
No, there are not. All our criminal investigations have pointed directly to Caleb Elliott. We've also ruled out any other additional suspects or anyone that could be criminally involved with any activities at the school district.
And the slide that you looked at the hiring or kind of the process of Caleb Elliott, because he wasn't on high school, he was obviously transferred or reassigned down to the middle school following an alleged incident with the alleged partner boyfriend who was cooperating. Has the department looked at that in their investigation, kind of hiring assignment process that took place that year?
Yeah, so I'm going to. The caveat is we don't dig into their administrative decisions, but it would be unrealistic for us not to look at, is there a correlation between assignments and any criminal activity? Our investigation has determined that there is no correlation between that. But as far as why they moved him, that would be something that the Celina Independent School District would have to answer.
We're gonna take 3 more questions, okay? Just 3 more.
Yeah.
I know that this is, I can't even imagine how difficult it is
Yeah.
for you and these investigators. Through all this horrifying stuff, but, and I saw that you got choked up a little bit when
Yeah.
you were talking to the victims. This has rocked this community. It, like you said, it's called into question the integrity of what you have up there in your
Yes.
the integrity of everyone who's in charge
Yeah.
of protecting our children. How difficult has this been, Chief? And to know if there is anyone who knew something and did not come forward, Chief,
Yeah.
what do you say about that and about that person or persons?
Yeah, so our investigation has not revealed that anyone did step forward. However, if we ever find out in the future, based on depositions, based on any additional criminal investigations, we will hold those people accountable. And I'm talking about the entire lineage. No one is immune from the long arm of the law, and we will go after anyone that did. However, at this time, there is no indication. Right now, it's limited to Caleb William Elliott. And to your point about, I live here in this city, I care about this city, and I'm going to read this too. I understand that multiple reports have surfaced in the past month, many unrelated to this case we are discussing today, that have been beyond unfortunate. As a parent and law enforcement officer with nearly 30 years of service, I can tell you that events like these may refine a community, but not define a community. Celina is a great place to live and work and to raise a family. And while no community is perfect, Celina is safe, it is thriving, and I believe our best days are before us. I have kids, and it impacts me as well.
So, when you, the partners,
Mhm.
so say uncooperative, you decline.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
I know you're talking about what you can do once the civil process starts to play out and you get
Mhm.
positions. Can you maybe just clarify what your next steps will be with that person and if there's
Mhm.
anything you are potentially able to get out of him to determine if
Yeah.
it was an improper relation?
So because we have nothing of criminal nature, we can't number one, we can't make him interview with us. He has to allow us to do so. So I would go back to your question would be, what are we going to do? We're going to sit and wait. Depositions are going to come out. If anything of criminal nature comes out of those depositions, we will follow through with those investigations. And if criminal charges are warranted, we will file those on those people. But at this time, there's nothing to indicate that there is anything criminal on his behalf, the partner.
Okay, last question.
Yes, sir.
Let's go back to this point. I really want to understand this. I believe there was district communication going back to the prior year that there was an incident that caused William Elliott to be banned from the boys' locker room. If there's no evidence to support that there were cameras in that locker room, then why was he banned from the boys' locker room without other coaches being with him?
Yeah, so I'm going to parallel, like I said earlier, that we're going to look in that from a criminal perspective. Nonetheless, we found nothing criminal that would indicate that he was moved because of some behavior alleged. And so as far as the personnel decision, again, I'd have to take that back and ask you to ask Celina ISD to answer that. Okay?
Thank y'all very much.
All right. Thank y'all. Great to see y'all. Thank you.
Are we going to switch to Jack?
At this time, this concludes.
All right, folks. Well, we have been listening to Celina Police Chief John Cullison basically saying that the Celina Police Department has wrapped up their investigation into William Caleb Elliott. He is the Celina High School teacher who had been arrested and charged with multiple charges of the highest degree charges that involve things with like indecency with children and even child pornography. One of the interesting things that was said by the police chief here is that they did not find any evidence that there were secret or hidden cameras placed in the locker room, something that was alleged earlier in the investigation. But again, the investigation, he says right now, as far as Celina PD is concerned, that is complete. However, he did say if there's more information that comes up later, his detectives would be willing to look into it, and they do welcome any of that information. But for now, there are, again, 38 victims that were identified throughout the length of their investigation, but that is now over. Questions about the future of other people in the school district who may or may not have known about any of this were referred to the Celina ISD Police Department, saying that is their sort of essentially that's their deal to handle now. But again, the PD's investigation into Caleb Elliott right now, it is complete. Something that lasted several weeks as they diligently looked into many of the claims that were made regarding different allegations of indecency with children and child pornography as well. So if there's any new information on this, of course, we're gonna update you, and we will have a lot more on the developments from Celina PD throughout the day on CBS News Texas, on air and online.